building globally competitive brands in the digital age. If you say a global brand, that's a brand that may have physical or virtual presence in different locations around the world. But I want us as young people, young entrepreneurs, to think about it as developing. Your brand may not be present in, say, Auckland in New Zealand, or let's say Wale in Ghana, but it's globally competitive. If you put that brand on a shelf anywhere in the world, it will compete with any of the key category brands. I want to talk about brand strategy. To build a globally competitive business, you need to have a thinking, you need to do some thinking, you need to have a strategy behind that. And then whether it's a product or service, you need to have a differentiating strategy. What differentiates your service or your product from the other? We'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about routes to market. I've called it digital routes or digital channels. How you can take whatever you have to market. Let's talk about brand strategy. It's simply a plan, right, that defines the core of and the persona of whatever idea, either service or product that you're offering. It's a bit technical. It's done by experts, but it's achieved through deeper research. Constant tinkering with whatever you're doing. You do that to actually establish a strategy, a plan that resonates through everything that you're doing. So the last thing that I want to talk about with brand strategy is how the product looks and feel. One of the brands that I've come to admire in this nation when it comes to real estate, Qual Realty, because I remember about 5-6 years ago. I'm not saying this just to, but I remember the first time I interacted with I saw the brand was a billboard at 37. When you're exiting the 37 route to that small roundabout towards the hospital, there was a billboard, that was shrouded by the trees. It was on the right side. That was the first time I saw Qual Realties, and I paid attention. Why? Because of the architecture, how it looks and feels in terms of the visual elements that I was talking about Qual Realty. He entered the market at a time that a lot of other brands, because I'm on camera, I don't even want to mention the others, but I'm sure we know them. They are taking the lead. But right now he's competing visually. He's competing, with these top brands, and on a lot of cardinals. When it comes to quality, when it comes to location, he's competing with location. Even price, he's competing with them. When it comes to the look and feel, the style, he's competing with them. And I can even tell that in many cases, he has actually beaten them to it. Okay, so let's talk about product or service differentiation. Imagine 4 different boxes, right? One I want to call the power brand. The power brand is the leading brand. Let me use, say, shower gels. Shower gels, which I've seen a lot of, local brands also doing that. Some are doing it with infusions of essential oils, with shea butter, alata and all of that. Let's give a brand like Dove. Dove, is run by, it's a power brand. They have a lot of monies behind them. But it's possible that if we do a market research, you will discover that there's a challenger brand who is challenging these brands, this Dove brand, when it comes to sales. I don't know what it is, but there's always, so let me give you an example. In the 1970s, before even 70s, Coca-Cola, it was a bit bitter. It was sold in pharmacies, right? It was even, some people believe that if you had a tummy ache or a headache and all of that, when you take Coke, so pharmacists were selling them. And it had a bit of, I hadn't tasted it, but from my readings, it had like a quinine-like taste. Okay. Then fast forward somewhere in the 1970s, a brand pops up called Pepsi. And do you know what Pepsi did? Pepsi would go to market. I mean, we'll go to a market area and they have 2 drums of what we call the cola product, Pepsi Cola and then Coca-Cola. They have it in drums. Then they'll call people to come and test the product. It's not labeled. You wouldn't know which one is Coca-Cola or Pepsi. And then there's a camera on it. So what at the end of the day they got people to do was that a lot of people liked Pepsi. Do you know why? Because Pepsi added more sugar. It was tastier, right? So at the end of the whole exercise, they will say, okay, what you tasted, what 70% of people liked is actually Pepsi. What they didn't like was Coca-Cola. And that disrupted and that challenged the Coke brand in such a way that Coke in the 1970s introduced a variant, a new brand that was sweeter. Some of us don't pay attention, but the forces and the dynamics in the market instigate some of these things. So that is a typical example of a competitor brand.